Part of this talk is about what if we're not really human beings? I mean, you know, we see enough infants grow up to understand that, well, it certainly appears that we're little tiny things that grow up into adults. Just so you know, King Clancy is using synthetic telekinesis to play with my dick pic. They do it a lot. What does it mean? It means they actually go and somehow they've tailored their technology to play with various parts of what we call a human being. It kind of just changed my whole lecture, but that's what they do. Is they can target your balls, they can target your arm, they can make your arm move, they can simulate your skin feeling a feather, they can clog your sinuses, um, they can make you feel sick, very sick. They can make sounds in your body like you've got gas when you don't, but maybe you do. But they can definitely sound effects. They can do sound effects. They can play with your smartphone. How? Well, um, everything in your smartphone can be played with. They can put fake things into your Facebook feed or your Tinder or whatever. After you've seen this for such a long time, one question that comes up is perhaps we are not biological critters. Perhaps we are, as I always say, simply the awareness that appears to be within this human suit. But it could be with high enough technology that whatever you are as awareness, this is very difficult to figure out, but your awareness is put into they want to say video game like reality, and you don't know about it. I mean, I didn't know about it for 50 years. Well, I knew there were some very strange things that started to happen, but not from the beginning. It was definitely appeared to be a biological world. So there's a new movie. I think it's Jumanji that's playing at the movie theater now, and it might be like called officially Jumanji 2 or something. But it's where humans, they kind of use kind of like a magic trick to get them uploaded into a video game, but they're in a video game. And I'm going to put it out there that it's quite possible that our reality is like a video game. I've already said a number of times that when people are wondering, well, is the world a globe or a flat earth? I say it's a holodeck, like in Star Trek The Next Generation. So if it's a holodeck like Star Trek The Next Generation, you know that some of the characters were the ones that walked in. The flesh and blood characters walked in to the holodeck and turned the holodeck on. And once they turned it on, there were some human characters that they interacted with who were created by the holodeck. So, am I this physical thing, a biological, or am I a simulated human in this holodeck? The only way you can tell in Star Trek The Next Generation is to exit the holodeck. And if you're still there, then I guess you're a flesh and blood human. But, there was the case of the Doctor in Star Trek Voyager, who was a holographic character who had just a little emitter thing that let him walk around with the humans outside of a holodeck. It gets to well, it's Clancy that wants me to get to this. What exactly is conscious awareness, and can it be trapped into a holodeck like reality, and can it be separated from a knowing mind so that it, in essence, can its mind be blanked and then put into this simulated reality, a holodeck, and live there for 50 plus years. Maybe some of the people in the holodeck are even older, not knowing that they are living in a simulated reality, and they are given to believe that they are flesh and blood because somewhere, they skin their knuckles, or they cut themselves and they bleed, or, but, with sufficiently advanced technology, 23rd century for Star Trek or even more, we don't know how old we really are. In this simulated reality, the year is 2020. But, I can't verify that. I can verify that I've been here for 55 years. More or less. My earliest memories as an infant, I don't have them. So, but, let's say roughly 50 years of memories. So I can verify that. But what happened before me? Well, what happened before me? You've got your parents' generation and your grandparents' generation and the stories they tell, but are they holographic or flesh and blood? And does it really make a difference? Why would it make a difference if they were flesh and blood or holographic? In the Matrix movies, at one point they showed that Keanu Reeves, who played Neo, was in a pod, and all along his backbone there were cables that were plugged into his spinal cord, and all these things up here. And from his perspective, inside of his body, he was living in the outside world. And some point they woke him up inside the pod, and they had to take all these cables off him, and they said, no, you're really a flesh and blood thing. So, that's another possibility. You're a flesh and blood thing that's in a pod experiencing the Matrix. But even if that's so, what exactly is consciousness in a flesh and blood body? Where do the words and the thoughts come from? Who built this, and what exactly are you, Mr. Conscious Awareness, and how did you get put into this simulated reality? I'm going to keep going with at least this place is a holodeck. Why? Because I've seen things that could only happen in a holodeck. They could not happen in the old physical earth that we were taught in public school. Couldn't happen. Impossible magical things I've seen, and I've already told you that I experienced multiple characters in my conscious mind. So this place, we are totally lied about. That's not right. We are lied to about it. Some people have got little bits of information to realize that the government can't be trusted. There's still a lot of people that I see on Facebook that, even though they see my posts, my popo, my poop, popo is poop, they see my poop and they don't take it in. In other words, they don't meditate. So from my perspective, they're either highly ignorant, highly stupid, or they're false characters in the Matrix. And I think a lot of people that I used to think were flesh and blood people are now false people in the Matrix. I don't know how I am supposed to explain Dolores Cannon to you. I've talked about her before, but she was a long time hypnotist who did hypnotic regressions on many different people. And once she had them deep into hypnotism, sometimes she would connect to what she called the subconscious. I think it's bullshit. I think the whole thing is bullshit. It's something for me to play with today, but why do I think it's bullshit? Because the information that she got from the so-called voice of the subconscious doesn't really make any sense. It's very religious. I'm not religious. Am I spiritual? Well, I'm definitely interested in the nature of reality, and it may not be spiritual at all. Consciousness itself, is it spiritual? It's a buzzword, and it brings on a lot of religiosity, which I'm really working hard to dump because it's all about control. So anyway, the nature of our reality is there's all kinds of things that are controlling us secretly, no doubt about it. Someone named Clancy the Shit Demon wants to say that he wants to start talking about the occult. Again, the occult stuff, it's religious, it's not real. If you imagine you're in the holodeck of Star Trek The Next Generation, people aren't doing occult things unless it's some, it's a play, Commander Data used to pretend he was Sherlock Holmes, so you could play that way. But is there any real things going on in here that are really occult or really religious? No. No, it's people are giving me the feed. It is in the holodeck. It's about a bunch of information that your awareness takes in. How it gets processed and how it gets to your awareness, well, I don't know. I just don't know, but I know definitely things are not as they appear in this world, and there's a million other ways I can go with it, but I can guarantee you this is not a globe world, and we are. Uh, I'm looking at my hand trying to figure out, is it flesh and blood or not? In the Matrix, in the holodeck, um, it certainly does a really good imitation of being flesh and blood. Can I get beyond that? Well, I keep saying arch. That's what they say in Star Trek The Next Generation to exit the hologram. Some people talk about exit the matrix. How are you going to exit? And they use a lot of religious techniques, which is kind of stupid. But I mean, you got to follow it and see if it's going to work. But the religious techniques are, you use your words to tell evil entities to go away. It doesn't work. Clancy's still here after a long time. So using words. And what about meditation? Well, meditation, is it religious? It's just a technique. It's basically you watching for long periods of time. So you're not getting information from other people because, my testimony is worthless to you. The only way it'd be useful for you is that if you actually sat down and watched more of my videos and you got a good idea what I'm trying to talk about, and then you meditated on it. In other words, you really start paying attention in your reality. Anyways, I'm out of time. Thank you for watching. I'm not Stewie and I'm not breastfed, but I might be a simulated character in your reality. I'm going to call myself Harry Weaver, the narrator of Infinite Bob 99 on YouTube. Please subscribe. And on Instagram, we're Burroughs Bobby.